Mason. I'm a sophomore, and so my passion I'm going to talk about is activism and equal rights. I'm going to focus more on the equal rights part later on, but kind of start with activism. Does anybody, I know we were kind of young, I was 8 at the time, does anyone remember like the presidential election with Obama and stuff like that? That was a big time. That was a big time for me even as a kid because it's something different that I never experienced. It's the first African American to become president. And so it was an exciting time, but also during the same time, my mom was very political and she always taught me political things. So during this time, there was also something called the Proposition 8 going on. And that was going on in California, and it was about the amendment towards same-sex marriage. And so, unfortunately, it didn't get passed. It was a vote from 52% versus 48%, so it didn't pass. And it was a big blow to the LGBTQ plus community. But the thing that I noticed was a lot of people were blaming the African American and Latinos because an incorrect polling saying that 70% of the blacks and 53% of the Latino community voted for this, which is not right at all. Had the black and Latino community voted, had the same turnout as in 2004, Prop 8 would still have passed. So it was just something that people were trying to blame and pointing fingers at, and I thought to myself, why are we blaming people when we should just be getting together and thinking, okay, let's plan this out, how can we go from here, what can we do next? And that's, as an 8-year-old kid, I just thought like, it doesn't seem right. I mean, that's kindergarten rules. You shouldn't point fingers at someone and say, you did that. It's, how can we go from here and reevaluate the situation? Why do I kind of protest or do any sort of activism? I believe that everyone has a voice and a right to our government. And so all of these I've actually been at. This was one of the global warming protests in St. Louis. This is all in St. Louis. This is the Women's March that happened in St. Louis, as well as the Ferguson protest that's going on. Ferguson has a really, really special place in my heart. It was 10 minutes from where I lived. So it was a very active community that I was in. The 4 big ideas of why I am an activist and why I do these kind of things is attention to cause, demonstrating that we are the people, we have a voice, building relationships with community, and creating live energy. Usually going to these protests, it's a very spiritual kind of energy. I mean, everyone's here for a specific purpose, for a specific idea. So what I kind of want to talk about is the Equal Rights Amendment, and so you're thinking, what the heck is that? It's kind of sounds like basic of what it is, but the Equal Rights Amendment is pretty much a proposed amendment to the U.S. Constitution that promotes same-sex rights between men and women through the court of law and just through anything else. So anything that has to do with divorce, pay wage, employment, pretty much it's all, you're supposed to be the same. And so the problem is you're thinking, okay, we kind of have the same rights, but like when you think about it, we don't, because the only thing that women have in the Constitution that are equal to men is voting. And that happened in 1923, I think. That was 100 years ago, pretty much. The amendment is supposed to go into the Constitution when it gets ratified by 3/4 of the state, which was supposed to happen in 1978, but unfortunately it didn't pass with all these states. So these states still to this day have not passed through the ratification, and we're still working on it. Actually, Nevada and Arizona have both ratified the amendment in 2017, 2018, but that would mean we would have to turn over their 7-year limit. The 7-year limit means that Congress gives it a certain amount of time for the law to be passed for it to go into the Constitution. So if we want to keep doing this, we just have to contact our local Congress from whatever state you live in, if any of those, and then you can turn those over. So is there even a possibility women's advancement can be reversed? Absolutely, and I promise you our Congress are trying to do that. Some examples, they have tried to oppose the Violence Against Women's Act, Fair Pensions Act, the Paycheck Fairness Act, and the one that really blew my mind was that they voted to pay for Viagra servicemen for men, and they opposed funding for Planned Parenthood, birth control, and family planning. So this is the kind of things that reverse of where we're trying to progress in life and trying to progress in society, and Congress seems to want to reverse certain things. So my mom told me as a kindergarten that if you want to be treated right, you treat others with respect and you care for what they have to say. That is the foundation of being an activist, and that is the foundation of equal rights. So if you learned that in kindergarten, congratulations, you're better than the Congress. So That's all. And here's some sites if you guys ever just take a mental picture or whatever, take a picture. These are good causes.